We work hard, we play hard. We are gamerpreneurs. Individuals who have chosen to give up the security of a 9 to 5 in favor of getting to set our own hours, of doing the work that we want to do, and we refuse to give up the hobby that we grew up with in order to, quote, grow up. We have learned countless laws of life and sales from the games that we play, and we excel in everything we do. We see the wonder and glory in every interaction. We fit in awkwardly with the rest of the world because they don't understand our quirkiness, and we wear it as a badge of pride. We are focused, clear, and know what we want. We are gamerpreneurs, and we are taking over the world. Hey there, everybody. Dr. Bradford Carlton here. Welcome to the Gamerpreneur podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with us. I have Ben, aka NoSkills. Hi there, Ben.
How's it going?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
It's been a very exciting week, so we'll see what's going on.
All right. So I start every episode off with, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm actually, the way I always introduce myself is I'm like a nobody, because my tag NoSkills is actually supposed to be like a misnomer. People are supposed to actually underestimate my skill sets just so I can sit there and show them what I'm actually capable of. So it's kind of I've got like 9 years of technical theater experience. I have manufacturing experience. I have 4 years on Twitch. I have a lot of different experiences to sit there and try to produce content for people on Twitch, including myself when I do start my channel back up.
Fantastic. All right. So to inject a little fun right at the beginning, can you begin by telling us on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you?
Extremely. So I'm extremely weird. Especially since I recently found out that I may actually be on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
Finding out when you're 30 years old that you might be on that spectrum is kind of shows that I'm probably like a 10 or 11 actually.
All right. Well, I mean, I wouldn't call that weird, but each their own. How about this? Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your streaming history? Can you tell us how you got into it, what you did, where you at now?
Yeah. So to go further back a little bit, I did technical theater through high school and college. I broke away from that because it wasn't really paying the bills. I went into a manufacturing job, got certified and trained and all that kind of stuff with an apprenticeship. Ended up hating it horribly, because I was working with the same 5 people every night, 10 to 12 hours a shift, 7 shifts a week. And it drove myself crazy. So I went ahead and I moved over I just quit that job. And from there, I just did not know what to do. And right after I quit, I actually just stumbled on to twitch.tv. Some friends of mine were like, hey, I'm watching this guy play video games. And I was like, how? So that was back in like 2015. Started off as just watching it and just trying to figure out why and how and what they're doing. And from there on out, I just went into it, and I just got a webcam and messed around with it and streamed off of a little tiny laptop.
All right. What did you do? What did you play?
I played a lot of survival games. So I had a Toshiba laptop at the time, really bad graphics card, all that kind of stuff. But so I played like Don't Starve Together, Minecraft, and all like the basic games of survival and anything along those lines. Don't Starve Together, I think I put like 300 hours in the beginning of my streaming, because it was a very light game, and we could sit there and I can have play with up to 8 people. So it was a really fun communal game that I did a lot of Jackbox games.
Okay. And where did you go from there? You're not currently streaming on your own stream anymore, correct?
Correct. I actually moved from Illinois all the way out to Virginia/DC area, Northern Virginia, to take over a meetup group. The organizer who started it, a partner streamer, was moving to Colorado. They couldn't really find someone who could take over. So I went ahead, and since I've already visited 7 different state meetups during that time period beforehand, I went ahead and I was like, I can do that. Why not? So I moved out here. I put my channel on hold and grew up that community from about 30 members to about 300 within a year of local streamers within the Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC area. And
That's
that's
fantastic. What did you do to get such a big bump?
so I've already connected with a lot of different people because my first year on Twitch, I went from 90 followers to 1,000. And that's just because I went to TwitchCon for 2 years in a row. And the one TwitchCon, I went from 90 to like 200 just from walking around, talking to people, just being who I am, just trying to be fun and light and whatnot. Um, and then from there, I kind of just used the same thing where I'd go into streams, talk to people, and just network with people, and also just use Twitter a lot to be like, who's in Virginia who's also streaming, kind of figure out who would be interested in the group, and never actually like went to them and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Kind of like just followed them, and eventually they kind of like checked out the profile because they're curious and they followed back.
All
And
right,
then from there, we just grew up the group from there.
wonderful. So, do you do any streaming nowadays?
I switched from personal streaming into more tournament / esports streaming.
Okay.
So, um,
Can you?
never being happy with my equipment, with how I can do stuff, and never really wanting to ask my community for money. I always felt weird about such things. So I was spending more time with me trying to improve what I have, and the quality of my content kind of dropped at that point because I was more focused about what was going on in the back end than actually what's going on in the front end. And when it comes to personal streaming, you want to be the face. You want to have that personality where you're stress free and you just come in to hang out and do stuff. And with me, because my experience and my focus is so much on back end, I kind of just did this switch where I went to a Smash Ultimate tournament out here in Virginia, and I was watching the streamer, the Purple Sharpie, just sitting there like working all of this stuff, and I was like, "How are you doing that?" And she's like, "Here, I need these restrooms. Sit down and try." And I sat down there, and I thought I was only there for 5 minutes. Apparently, she left me there for an hour, and she's like, "You're doing great at this. This is amazing. Like, no one else can just sit down and just do this."
Oh,
Because you have to maintain scene changes, you have to update stats and scores and names, and there's a lot of like flying pieces when it comes to like a larger production like that compared to like personal streaming. So from there, she kind of like took me under her wing and taught me what she knows, and with my willingness and my want to just to sit there and Google everything and search on YouTube for anything, I at one point actually surpassed her. And so I kind of just like took over for that company, and then I've used that experience and also leaned on my community at the DC meetup to learn what is more relevant, what's going on. So that's where I'm at right now with being a product manager for esports.
that's fantastic. So you took all of your past history and it kind of just ended up working together in that one moment, and it showed you the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I entirely. And the one thing about my name, and it's what everyone says is, "Oh, I got no skills, but I got luck." Um, I got extremely lucky along the entire, because every time I'd be like turning the corner, I'd be at a bar after like working my serving shift before I got this job, and I'll be just sitting there, and I'll see a guy in a esports uniform. I was just go up there and talk to them, and it's just the right person I need to talk to at that time in order to sit there, and like it was a hobby shop down the street, which then I sat there and found out more information about other things, and so it's a little bit of luck, but also my skill sets are what actually pushed that luck to keep going.
Fantastic. So what would you say your unique skills are that have helped you to be successful?
Um, Coming from the technical theater background, it has to be uh, lighting setup, sound setup, excuse me, um, all that kind of stuff. Where I know I know how to use like a 16 channel soundboard. I know the basics of what plugs into where, and why it's important to white balance, and knowing that, I mean, the one thing you hear from any Twitch streamer about importance of stream is audio quality. So the having a higher knowledge about mixers and compressors and noise gates, and using all that stuff for an actual like theatrical performance, all that kind of stuff kind of just plays into having a higher quality, audio setup for streaming on Twitch or a
Okay.
mixer or your whatever.
Fantastic. Bouncing off that a little bit, what kind of equipment or resources would you recommend for anybody thinking about starting?
So it really actually comes down to what you have and what you're comfortable with. Um, Ideally, down the road, you would actually want to get like an audio interface, but that's even something that I have not even learned that much about. I still use a board that's kind of like half and half. It's still a mixer, but it's still like an audio interface. So it's kind of like a thing in between. Um, but I think it really just comes down to doing some research and finding out what works best for you. And that's a tricky question you ask, because it comes down to, what their budget is, and what they can do, what they want to learn, how easy or how complicated they want to make it.
Okay, wonderful. Now, when you first started out streaming, we're sticking to streaming at the moment. I'll move on here in just a second. But when you're first starting out, was there anything you wish you had known that you know now?
um just keep doing it.
To persistence, just keep at it, just
Keep
stream
at
as
it.
often as you
But
can.
no, not well, to keep at it, but in a smart way. um Back when I started, everyone was kind of just on the fence about talking about it. The number one advice was like, never look at your numbers, never do this, never do that. And I understand why people were saying such things, but it is kind of important. And I think like it was very misleading to sit there and say such things, because if you're doing something and all of a sudden the numbers dip a little bit, obviously at that point it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe I need to sit there and actually like pay attention to like how the community is reacting to what I'm doing. um so I kind of went off on a tangent there, sorry.
All right. So, what advice would you
less
give to a new streamer?
less tangents, that's the biggest thing. um Basically keep going at it, but do it a smart way. And the reason why I went into a little tangent is because you kind of have to know that you're approaching to this as like a second job or as like a business. The people who just step into it and do it for fun, that don't actually try to market it or try to move into doing, bringing their content to like YouTube, Twitter, or somewhere where it's more discoverable, they kind of just sit stagnant for a while. So it's like keep doing it, but like don't do 12-hour streams, but do like a 6-hour stream, and then spend 3 or 4 hours trying to get that stream chopped up and put up into other locations that help market what you're doing.
Hey, can I pounce on that point a little bit more? Can we talk more
Sure.
about the marketing? You've had some experience doing this. What would you say the best channels for marketing are?
Uh, so far it's Twitter and YouTube, and it's weird to say that. There has been a little insurgence of TikTok actually being a little bit better for finding streamers and whatnot. I found a couple on there. So the hardest thing about Twitch right now is the fact that there are like, the last time I checked, 2.2 million streamers in a 30-day period. And you never would realize that. Yes, 2.2 million. And that's people who just like started a stream and end a stream, or it like, I think that's just anyone who's basically hit start stream. So getting out there and breaking up your content and finding funny parts and sharing clips on Twitter, kind of making it more personable, sharing like highlights and whatnot onto YouTube, and then just like networking or making friends is actually really important. So like you kind of have to do like this multi-function, like multi-point plan of like, being there, doing what you're doing, but also like connecting with others around you and like enjoying what they're doing, and then sharing experiences and back and forth through Twitter and YouTube.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that because I've actually seen that TikTok point before that, there's people streaming there and they get some decent numbers, but I don't know if the audience is quite there yet. Maybe they're still getting there, but definitely on the
It's
YouTube and Twitter, because that is where everybody seems to be at. And that's where you're going to get a lot of your people to come
so
see you.
TikTok has been something I've been watching. I actually talked with some of the higher end people on there. It in itself is its own thing. So like in order to like their discoverability is a little bit weird. But if you if you have time, and it really comes down to time, if you have time to do a stream and if you have time to do a couple of TikToks and a couple of YouTube videos, then you're kind of your web of who you are kind of like expands into multi like different target areas.
Okay, fantastic. All right, now, what do you do right now? What kind of a profession are you doing? Where are you working?
I work at Hashtag Gaming Arena as the product manager. Right now, I help them with scheduling tournaments, getting people in the door, running their podcasts. We have two podcasts that we record every Sunday and release every Monday. One is it's a best of five. It's like an esports Smash Ultimate podcast. Other one is it's called Smash Cut. It's like a movie review. Um, that one might be coming under some transition changes here, but maybe a name change because it's not the famous Smash Cut that everyone knows on the podcast world. It's one of it's so we'll see where that one's going.
Okay.
Um,
Can we take a step back real quick? What
sure.
exactly does Hashtag Esports Arena do?
So we're an event space, and we have right now we have about 1,500 square feet, like a 32-foot stage, all these like a 20-foot projector and whatnot. We have done 3 tournaments in the past, one for StarCraft, Overwatch, and League of Legends with all the local colleges in the area. We're looking into moving into another location to like triple our size almost so that we can actually have more esports activations here over in the Northern Virginia area.
All right.
Because
How did that all get started? Like, where did this one come from?
that's actually from the guy's name is Hashtag, his tag. Um, he's that's a whole world of things. That he started off as like a comic book place, and then from there he got into gaming, and he did a lot of mobile stuff with like Turning Kings and whatnot. So he's kind of just been ever evolving in this world of like video gaming, esports, and tournaments and whatnot. Uh, and now we're kind of expanding out into this event space uh, to see the bring people in together and like making sure that we can get them all playing in the same place and having a great time and having the experience of being, at like the larger tournaments, but on a smaller scale.
Wonderful. So, what is that like organizing an esports event?
A lot of DMs. It's a lot of DMs. It's a lot of just communication back and forth about, we're doing it this way. I want to see this many people there. We're going to have these people on mic. We're going to have these people, this person over here interviewing and whatnot. So it's like putting on like a full scale production.
Sure.
So,
And how hard is it to get your participants?
initially, so since we just opened February of last year, it's actually it's here and there. We you have to keep consistency at it. Just like I said, even with streaming. So we did have enough to sit there and have all 3 of our tournaments. We hope to sit there and plan out something larger so we could do like an online tournament that would kind of like feed into like an in-space personal like tournament space where people come and play here in person. So it's oh my goodness, I just blinked. It's really exciting actually.
Wonderful. All right. Where do you see it going in the future? Where is Hashtag Esports Arena going to head in the next year or two?
um there are actually a lot of things where it can go, some of which I can't talk about as of yet.
Okay.
So we do have some opportunities that have come up. Right now, our immediate goal is to continue to expand our Magic the Gathering fanship, like our we run like monthly events and larger tournaments for that, and Friday Night Magic. So we're looking into moving into a bigger space, a different space, so we can actually be open more than just the weekend. And from there, just networking with local companies, finding sponsors, finding people that want to like just enjoy being part of the event space.
Okay, wonderful. Now, as product manager, you're pretty deep into the business, but kind of stepping back for a second, if somebody else wanted to get into this type of business, what kind of advice would you give them?
Make sure you have a plan right off the bat. Like, stick with one thing and run with it.
Well, that applies to almost every business. Yeah.
I so esports itself is a very broad thing. Um, and I've seen some other businesses where they kind of just do too much at the beginning, and they kind of just fizzle out. So if you're looking to do something like this, make sure you kind of like pick the one thing that your group is passionate about, and then push that and make that as successful as possible. And then for once you get there, you kind of just branch out into the different avenues.
Okay, now when you say pick the one thing your group wants to do you mean your business partners? Do you mean your fans? What do you mean?
uh all depends. If you have a strong fan base to start off with, then you stick with that. Because if, let's say if your fan base is Rocket League per se, and you're a streamer of your own, you don't want to just pivot and go into PUBG or a battle royale or something like that, because your fan base is already based off of that racing soccer type game, you know. So if you try to sit there like, well, I actually really want to do this, which is actually something that happened to me. I did a lot of survival games, and then when that battle royale came out, I switched and I lost all of my viewers and fans and whatnot. You don't want to sit there and do it that way. If you don't have that, and you have like a collective of investors and people who are interested into it, kind of like pinpoint that one thing and then focus on it and try to make that as successful as possible. That way you can branch out and get your followers to be a part of that.
Okay. Now, some general gamerpreneur advice. So people who play games but want to start a business, what would be the biggest piece of advice you have for them?
If they play games and if they want to do something along those lines, I would probably have to say start with just streaming and figuring out if you like producing content, if you like clipping up, making video edits and putting all that together and trying to do that by yourself. Because streaming itself is actually a very taxing thing for a lot of people, because it's not as simple as just like hit the live button and that's it. You got to hit the live button with a plan of like, I am going to do this for this amount of time, and then I'm going to take this amount of time afterwards, and I'm going to network with people, watch other streams, and edit videos, and tweet and be interactive with my community who I'm growing up with on Discord and Twitter and whatnot. So if you're just starting off from gaming, do the streaming part, but keep in mind the most important thing is your audio quality.
Sure. No, I think that'd be great advice for anybody who's starting any kind of business, even if it isn't gaming related, because nowadays it's all about the personality, the person they're seeing. People buy people, not products.
Correct.
So it's all about the person in front of them. And I think, doing a stream, it helps you find your voice quicker than if you just kind of go out there and try to start selling people.
Of course. And one of the people I network with on TikTok per se, if I just bring up that again, he started that with the goal of just becoming a better actor. Like, he had some experience before, but he uses that experience to sit there and just make his acting career a little bit better, which is what got him a following on there. So like I said, just find one thing and then stick with it.
All right. Let's circle back around. I want to know about you as a gamer yourself. So, what first led you to play video games?
Actually, so it started a long time ago, because my grandfather was an engineer for Motorola during the pager ages, and he worked with the radios and pagers and whatnot. So um, my dad grew up with computers. Grew up with a very rudimentary computer at the time, and he wanted to become a network IT guy. And so as a kid, I remember playing like Warlords 3, Age of Empires 1, Civilization 2. My favorite game of all time is actually Colonization, the DOS version.
Colonization. I don't even know I've heard that one.
Yeah, no, it's a very unique game. Um, so they uh, what's it called? So I started off with like DOS games, and obviously in school we had the what are 5.5 floppies of Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. That's right.
Yeah, but my most favorite memory is working with my dad in his he was doing something for his business as the network IT, like fixing email servers or something like that. And me and my brother were sitting in the two different buildings, both fighting each other with cheat codes on Age of Empires 2. Like I was sitting there, so we were just the fact that that was all networked together, and so we can just play a LAN across two different buildings was um, one of the most memorable things.
Isn't it amazing? That wasn't that long ago in the grand scheme of things.
No,
Trying to figure out how to land something, and now everything's online.
yeah, everything, and that's it's kind of awesome to sit there and be able um, to do that, especially since once I got into like my teenage years and college years, I spent a lot of time on like Eve Online and being able to sit there and play with people from other countries or World of Warcraft before even on Eve Online. Like I was sitting there playing, I hit level 60 and I was talking with one guy from Denmark and another guy from Canada, and they were all talking about bagel and lox, which is something I've never heard of before, being from the Midwest. So it's the gaming for me is it's been in part of my life since I was a child. And
Order Alliance.
uh don't hate me, Alliance.
Oh, it's all right. I'm an Alliance guy too.
Okay,
Born
cool.
and bred. I've tried Horde. I just can't play them. It just doesn't feel right.
I mean, I don't I my first character was actually a undead warlock, but I really enjoyed playing Warcraft vanilla as a paladin.
God, you what? A paladin.
Now, keep in mind, Paladin didn't become powerful until Burning Crusade, which the things they changed everything for them. But still,
I don't know about that because rank one flash heal with the full tier two just go forever.
I know, but I think Burning Crusade is when they changed it to the power spell power instead of
Right.
like Burning Crusade was probably the best, I think, for me.
All right. I now know you're insane, but
Like I
what,
said, I wasn't 11.
what games are you looking forward to coming out to or coming out soon?
Actually, I haven't had a chance to try it yet. I think Halo just got released for PC as of yesterday or today or something along those lines. And I've been actually playing a lot of Pokemon Sword and Shield.
All right. How do
Because
you liking it?
I so I haven't played since Crystal.
I'm
So
right there with you. So
I
I'm
haven't
actually
played
interested. How is it?
I haven't played since the Game Boy SP, so I don't know all the complaints that people have about, the DS to that. But coming from like Pokemon Yellow, Crystal, and all that, and going into Pokemon Shield, I was amazed. I was amazed because I could sit there and just plug the Switch into my TV and I could just keep playing on my TV. And I was like, okay, I'm sold. This is all I need.
Wonderful. All right. Now, what's your favorite game of all time?
Um, oh dear God, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, people will use this against you. Be careful.
I think I said it earlier. To believe it, like if I ever picked a game where I was just gonna just veg out and just do stuff and have it on the side, it would actually be the DOS colonization.
All right. Kicking it old school. I love it.
It's the game. The mechanics of it are simple and but complicated, and it keeps you involved. And it's a turn-based game, so I could just step away for a couple turns and come back.
So you sound like you've had a lot of success in your life. What I want to do right now,
Sorry, go
hey,
ahead.
you've got a great position. You've had a successful stream. You've had success. So what I want to do at the moment is I want to humble you. So can you tell me something that you failed at?
A lot of things actually. So even getting to this point, um, I've had my car repoed, um, been kicked out of a house. I've been in a lot of different tough situations just because I've been trying to push for myself to be in the video gaming world, but also working as like a server or a barback or doing just something to pay the bills on the side while I kept doing what I can to sit there and keep pushing forward. So there's been a lot of um, struggles and tribulations along the way to get where I'm at now.
Hey, that's
I,
wonderful though. You're doing what you want to do.
I finally got there, you know, and even still, like we're starting into a world where this is going to become a normal thing, and I think my biggest thing was never actually finishing college.
Okay.
So without that, like I had to go through a little bit more difficulty than some other people had to.
I have a doctoral degree. I did 4 years college, 3 years of law school. And after I finished it all, I read one book. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I wish I had gone back and just not done all that schooling.
But you would have taken at least got like a bachelor's in something else, you know, and
Yeah.
that's kind of important nowadays, unfortunately.
Well, how about this? So you're fairly involved in the gaming community. What is that like?
A lot of drama.
What isn't full of drama?
So it's it's a little bit different for me because, like I said earlier, and like just finding out now about why I've been like I have difficulty connecting with people, like especially in like a group setting and stuff like that. Um, so finding out that I need to sit there and focus on these things when it comes to talking to people, or putting out these types of like, because being on the spectrum kind of has its own limitations in itself. Um, I would have to say it's interesting to be a part of because there's so many different types of personalities and so many different types of people, and and I just love how open and welcoming, because it's more about the passion of the game that you're talking about and less about who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
So
personality.
yeah, so like as long as you and that person in that gaming community can sit there and be like talk for like 20 minutes about why a 3.5 um, D&D was still better than fourth edition. It's kind of insane, but that's it's to put it in a different terminology. It's kind of like walking up into a random place and finding that other person who's like a Bears fan and just like connecting right off the bat, regardless of who they are.
About finding your people. Oh,
Correct.
absolutely, heartedly agree. So,
Yeah.
how about this? What is the best compliment you've ever received from chat or a comment?
The so from chat, it has to be about my beard.
The
Um,
pretty epic beard, my friend.
I have to thank Poke Your Eyes Out Games. He was. I had a very uh, small beard before because I was just being lazy, and he kind of like opened my eyes of how powerful this can be. But it's weird. The best compliment I've received would just be hanging out at a bar with people who don't know anything about streaming, and kind of like walking up to someone who just watches, and they're like, it sounds like you have a streamer's voice, like you sound like you belong on Twitch. And I'm like, thank you. Sure. But it's kind of that's probably like the best one I could think of when it comes to like something.
Going back to the streamer community, the gaming community, gamerpreneur community, everybody kind of involved in trying to make something out of their gaming, hobby, lifestyle, profession, whatever you would call it. What is something that you're seeing people do wrong that they could, if somebody could come in and like take advantage of it and move forward on that?
Like in like the gaming streaming world.
In any part of the gaming, streaming, gamerpreneur, owning businesses world.
Being genuine about why you're there.
I love
I
it.
think that is what is going to eventually bite you if you don't, because you're pretty much entering this, like, if you're trying to do a business or you're trying to stream or whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to be who everyone sees and everyone's going to watch. So the once you get an inconsistency, and this and I can say this from experience, because I tried being like this personality type on Twitch, and I tried doing this one thing, but once like when I stepped away and I started doing the breakaway from social thing that I like doing, the introverted thing, people saw the switch and they're like, who's that? Why? That's not who you are. Like, what are you doing? So it's really important just to be like very clear and very genuine of like, why are you here? What are you doing?
Yes, absolutely. Now, what would you say the best way to get from that point of not really being sure what your voice is to finding it would be?
Fail.
Just keep trying.
Keep making mistakes, keep doing things, keep trying. Do not be afraid to fail, but don't plan to, don't be afraid to. A lot of people don't take the step because they're afraid of failing.
Okay. Now, what social media do you use? How do people find you?
I have accounts on pretty much all of them, but it's mostly Twitter. It's actually for Twitter, it's NoSkill ZSZ. So the word NoSkill is ZSZ. That's kind of where I use that tag a lot. It's Twitch. I have a Mixer account. I have a Discord account. I have TikTok. I have all that kind of stuff. But Twitter is usually the best one to interact with me.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ben. Now, is there anything I didn't ask that you think I should have?
No, I'm already all jumbled from everything you already asked.
Sure. All right. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for sharing your advice and your opinions with us.
Of course. Hopefully we get to do it again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you take care.
All right, thank you.
Hey, if you like this podcast, I'd love to invite you to check out a little bit more about me, Dr. Bradford Carlton, gamerpreneur. If you go to my website, www.thegamerpreneur.com/bonus, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, The Warcraft of Business, where I explain my history in both gaming and business and how I brought the two together in order to create some very successful companies and help a lot of people. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and processing, and I'll send you this book. I absolutely know you're going to love it. All right. You all take it easy.